Do you ever have one of those days where you had something planned and it just doesn't work out? Do you mind if I explain this? Good thing we're working on forgiveness, huh? On Wednesday, I was having one of those days. What do they say? Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. Yeah, that was my Wednesday. I was planning on sending out a letter to the community. And what happened is instead, while I was getting ready, I was doing something with some scissors, and I slipped with the scissors, and I cut my finger open. And meanwhile, something really brilliant happened. What do you do whenever you cut yourself? Well, I call my mom. So, right? Yeah, no. Yeah, it was me.
I'm sure there was a little.
Actually, it was amazing. I did not cuss. I went into deep affirmations. I'm okay. I'm healthy. I'm whole. I'm healed. And I was going into shock while I was doing these affirmations, but I was so proud of myself for doing that. Yes. And then I called Mom because I realized I was about to faint. So, yes, I called my mom, and she walked me through laying down on the bathroom floor with my feet up on the toilet while she came and rescued me and took me to the hospital. So I ended up getting 3 stitches in my finger. Yeah, I really did. And it was great because we were sitting there in the doctor's in the office, and the doctor and the nurse was there, and my mom looks at me and she says, "I think this is the first time you've ever had stitches." And I said, "Yeah, this is the first time I've ever done that." And then the doctor and the nurse turned around and they said, "Oh, it's our first time too." The doctor said, "I've been staying up all night watching YouTube videos on how to do this." They were a comedy team. It was really a blessing. It was truly a blessing in disguise. I left there going, wow, that was the worst experience I've ever had. It was pretty good. They had me in stitches. So this week is about forgiveness, and interestingly enough, the title is Forgive Yourself First. So I guess I get to forgive myself for not doing, for having this injury, and because of the injury, I didn't get to do all the things I had planned to do this week. I took the doctor's orders, and I took some time off to just heal and rest and take care of myself. And that means some things that I wanted to get done didn't get done. And I had to recognize the times when I was self-talking. I don't know. I have the committee in my head is mean committee. I don't know where those words came from, but they come up, And so the self-dialogue is a dialogue that I get to the opportunity to, 1, forgive when it comes up, and 2, talk myself out of, right?
And listen to, because you got to really hear it in order to do all those forgiveness and all that other stuff. Yeah,
I gotta hear what is it? If somebody were, so I have the mean committee, right? And if somebody was telling my best friend those things, I would not allow it. I would not put up with it. Why do I put up with it with myself? That's the question. And then you got the other committee, the committee that's like the God committee, right? And this is the committee that knows the truth, right? And then you get the two, like the devil on one side and God on the other, and they're kind of like warring. You're like, no, I am perfect, whole, and complete. I am wonderful. No, I can't believe I did that. Oh, that was such a stupid thing to do. No, I'm great. I'm wonderful. What are you listening to? So I don't know. Am I the only one who has that debate going on? Okay.
I only have the one
bad side for a while until I got the good side.
Oh, good. Yeah. So yeah, Pat has both sides going on now. And so what we want to do is have the committee that is the committee telling you your truth, right? Your truth. We want to have that committee be the voice of reason, the voice that comes up, the voice that is the winning side, right? The side that overpowers the other side. Now, overpowering can be done through love. It can be done in a peaceful manner. It doesn't have to be done through fighting. It can be done by accepting love, accepting peace, accepting the truth of who we are. And sometimes we need to be willing to bring it on, willing to listen. This month we're studying Roger Teal's book, This Life is Joy. And Roger has a whole section about forgiveness, and he says there's 3 things that you need to do in order to forgive. And the first one is be willing. You have to be willing to forgive. Now, why would we want to be willing to forgive? We might want to, I don't know, have a better life than we currently have. Or perhaps you have some aches and pains in your body that you want to let go of. Oftentimes, resentments, anger, little bickering, those kinds of things get caught up in our body. The voice that we allow to continue to talk over and over, that's not the voice that we want, that thing manifests as actual aches and pains and challenges in our bodies. And if we want to have a different experience, that means we have to be willing to do the work. We have to be willing to open ourselves up to forgiving. Forgiving is not the word that people want to go to first. Whenever you say, wow, would you like to change your life? And people say yes, you say, okay, you get to forgive. Yay! That's my favorite thing. Right? So remember that lack of forgiveness causes the toxins and poisons in your body. So if we're willing to open ourselves up to have a healthy body, to have a healthy experience in life. The second W is wisdom. Call upon the greater wisdom within you when you're ready to forgive. When you're ready, you have to be willing. Because some people say, it's okay, I'm ready to forgive them, but they're not really ready. That means you have to be willing to let it go. That means when that person's face or that person's body walks through your mind, you have to be willing to love it on the way through. Literally, you can't be shooting arrows or guns or bad words at that person in your head whenever you have forgiven. That means you have to really let go. You can ask a wisdom inside of you. There is something greater within you that knows how to forgive. You don't have to know how. You can ask. You can ask that wisdom. Ask it, what is my soul's possibility in this? If you're ready to sit down, you have a circumstance, a situation, it could be a little thing. It could have happened this morning. And if you're willing to do this, ask yourself, what is my soul's possibility in this? How can I use this particular experience to evolve and grow? The third thing that Roger Teal says is you have to look within. When you say, I forgive you, you're not really saying it to that person. You are saying it to the picture you're holding of that person. A lot of us have a picture, like some kind of traumatic event happens, and we have this picture, and oftentimes it's kind of like a little story, and we see it, and we keep seeing the picture. It keeps coming up in our mind, that picture, that same event, that same circumstance keeps coming up, and we see it playing out in our head over and over and over again, regardless of whether it's the truth or not. It plays over and over and over again. And when we're saying, I forgive you, it means we're willing to let go of that picture. We're willing to let it go. And it's not the person who's holding us hostage, it's us holding us hostage to that experience and that event. So you have to look within. So you're not doing it to them out there, you're not doing it to the world. It's a holy act. This is a sacred experience that you have within yourself. When Neil was talking about his boss who was redlining his paperwork, he was having an experience of anger, of challenge, perhaps feeling not enough. And instead, he took his boss on and he decided to work with the principle of forgiveness. And what that does is it transforms the situation. It makes the situation new. He looked at this situation from a new perspective. My boss wants to have greatness with me and with the whole team. And he's doing this because he sees this as an opportunity for greatness to be revealed. And when Neil saw from those eyes, the entire situation transformed. Now, would you be willing to do that with the situations in your past? Yeah. Most of them? Kathy's going to hold on with claw marks. I don't want to let this one go. No. As you let go of those things, you open to a larger story of what is evolving in your life. God is infinite love. Really, infinite love. If God is infinite love, then God has zero capacity for condemnation. There is no possibility that God is condemning you. If you truly believe that God is love, there's no way that God could be condemning you for anything that you've done ever. So who's condemning you? Yeah, you. That's right. God seeks to cultivate you, to encourage you to blossoming into all that you were created to be. So what's really in the way? Ourselves. Yeah. So when we want to improve our lives, then we get to look within. We get the opportunity of forgiving ourselves first. Roger Teal said the three W's: willingness, wisdom, and within. www.forgiveness.com. Surf your internet, and you will find that this site opens you up to a progressively greater, more fulfilling, and freer life. All conflicts are forgiveness opportunities in disguise. Every single conflict. Conflict is inevitable, but resentment is optional. Tom Crum wrote a book called The Magic of Conflict. And he said, seeing conflict as an opportunity to create art from our very being is a challenge for the artist and all of us. So take on yourself, take on your challenges. I started reading this other book, The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity, from Edwene Gaines. And Edwene Gaines is a woman who went basically from a penniless situation to being a multimillionaire. She is wildly successful. And she wrote this very simple book called The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity. And here they are. 1, tithing. Giving 10% to your spiritual source, the place that you are fed the most, spiritually. 2, goal setting. Setting goals so you can have something to look forward to. Number 3, forgiveness. And number 4, committing to your divine purpose. Edwene says, an unwillingness to forgive is like stabbing ourselves with a knife and expecting the person who did us wrong to feel the pain. Yeah. When we refuse to forgive, this is how you know you've refused to forgive. You have feelings of guilt. You have feelings of shame. You're blaming other people. You're feeling hurt. You're feeling resentful. You're annoyed. Those are all opportunities for you to forgive. Forgive yourself in all of those situations. Little opportunities will present themselves every day for you to be forgiving. So who to forgive? Forgive yourself when you have blundered, made a mistake. Forgive your ex-spouse who didn't live up to your expectations. Forgive your children. If you got them on the planet, you did your job. Forgive your parents. Realize that your parents did the best they could have done with what they knew how to do. Forgive the people that you judge. Forgive yourself for judging. When you have a problem with someone, it's almost always because they are not behaving the way that you have decided they should be behaving. And the only person you're responsible for is you. You're not responsible for anybody else's behaviors. At one time, Edwina has a story, and her grandmother was living with her. Every evening, she would sit in front of the TV with her rocking chair, her snuff, and her spittoon. And back at that time, they were living in Houston. And Houston was having a big campaign against the ladies of the night, the prostitutes. And what they were doing is they were arresting the prostitutes, and then they were putting them on TV, and they were showing them getting handcuffed and fingerprinted publicly as to embarrass them. And every evening, Edwina's grandmother would sit in her chair, rocking back and forth, spitting her spittoon, and watch those women being locked up in jail. And she would say, "Those hussies, I hope they hang them," every evening. And so Edwina was sitting there trying to figure out what to do about this situation. And she really got tired of hearing it. And she said, "Granny, do you know what reincarnation is?" And Granny said, "Nope." And she said, "Well, some people believe that what you condemn in this life, you condemn to experience yourself that very same thing in your next life." And so her granny thought about that. And the next evening, her grandmother was sitting there rocking in a rocking chair, spitting in her spittoon. And there go the ladies of the night getting arrested on the TV. And she said, "Well, bless those little hearts." If we can take the opportunity, instead of condemning and judging, to find out what we can do for ourselves. How can we love the world more is the question. Jesus said, and this is in the Bible wording, "Why beholdest thou mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thy own eye?" Which means that you have too much work in front of you in your own space to take the wooden log out of your own eye, to be worrying about the tiny speck in somebody else's eye. Every time you're pointing a finger at somebody else, you have more fingers pointing back at you than you do pointing at that other person. So if you are seeing flaws in other people, it's your own vision that needs to be corrected. Yeah. So I want you to take yourself on. Take yourself on. And Edwina has 3 forgiveness techniques to do this. The first technique is something that Pat had talked about earlier today, which is writing affirmations. Writing, speaking, reading, forgiveness affirmations are all opportunities for you to take yourself on. Here's a couple to start off with. I forgive myself completely for every mistake I've made. I forgive others, knowing we all did the best we could at the time. I forgive everyone who has not given me the love and the attention I deserve. I forgive myself for my unconscious behaviors in the past, and I forgive others theirs as well. Technique number 2, daily forgive your judgments. Every night before you go to sleep, think to yourself, have I put anyone outside of my heart today? Some poor soul did not get Queen Abigail's edict on how to behave in the world today. How can I take them back into my heart and love them and take myself back into my heart for judging them? Every night. Number 3, do a yearly forgiveness inventory. Just one day a year, sit down, take some time, go through your entire life from beginning to where you are now, and check through, do a little checklist in your head. Is there anybody I'm feeling anger at? Is there anybody I'm still upset at? And take that opportunity to let go, to love them and let go. You can do a little ceremony. You can put a bunch of information, you can write it all down, and then put it into the fireplace and let it go and release it. So in conclusion, remember the 3 W's. Be willing, listen to your higher wisdom, and go within. Try at least one of these forgiveness techniques every day this week. Do a forgiveness affirmation. Do a daily forgiveness of your judgments. Or try the yearly forgiveness inventory. Take this on this week, and I challenge you to become a bigger, better, fuller, freer version of yourself that you ever could be. And remember this, do not run with scissors.